Hey guys, it's Shannon and John from That DIY Couple.
Today we're going to be talking about being a guy on a diet. I have been on a diet. I've changed the way that I've eaten, and I've realized talking to a lot of my friends who are guys and just being on the internet that being a guy following a prescribed diet can be really hard. And there are a lot of social pressures to not follow a diet. Specifically, the diet that I follow is bright line eating. And I think for a lot of guys, the popular diet right now to follow as of 2019 is a sort of like paleo, very meat heavy diet, which is probably the opposite of the diet, keto. Probably the opposite of the diet that I follow, and I suspect that one reason why those diets are so popular, particularly with men, is that it sort of appeals to like a masculine idea of eating meat and protein and being strong and that sort of stuff. The diet that I follow, I think, is often stereotypically associated for men with guys that are weaker, more sensitive, not as, buff, people that are like kind of granola eating, like hippie type thing. And that's a big problem, I think, in the culture in general, and that there's this stereotype about who you are based on what you eat. Like I think that I'm a pretty masculine guy. Like I do lots of masculine stuff,
look at this chest hair.
Even if that's like a metric for being a guy. But so I want to talk about how it is being a guy following a diet like bright line eating, which is the diet that I follow again. And so
it's not just that, you follow a plant-based version of bright line eating.
I do.
I follow not a plant-based diet, but John follows a whole food plant-based diet plus no sugar, no flour, measured meals, meal times of bright line
So
eating.
I don't eat meat. I generally don't eat animal products, particularly at home, although we've been eating a little bit more recently because of Shannon's pregnancy.
Eggs and cheese, not other types of animal
which we
products.
get into a little bit. But I don't eat meat, and then I follow a very prescribed dietary kind of adherence. I also don't drink. I don't drink caffeine. These are all kind of aspects of my diet. So maybe the way to do this is you could ask me some questions, then I can respond to them in turn.
Well, bright line eating is a very female-focused movement,
That's
right?
true,
It's like led by Peirce Thompson, and I would say by and large the main demographic is like middle-aged moms, right? So even me being like a younger woman, I feel like it's a little bit unique within bright line eating. How is that off-putting for you? Like, just speaking honestly,
I think a little bit, yeah. I think like there is an appeal to the sort of paleo diet, like I said before, where you see guys doing it and you talk about like guy stuff and like eating meat seems like really guy friendly and like primal. So I think that is a problem with a lot of diets. I think that's the same problem that you'd have with Weight Watchers and all these other diets, Jenny Craig, which are very female focused. And there's certainly, that the diets were started by women is important, and also that I think that's a demographic that is it can be kind of exploited by saying here's a diet that appeals to people. But the thing about it for me is I did this diet originally to support you,
right?
And you were the instigator of it, and I think I've actually been maybe more of the strict adherent of it.
You've been a little more militant about it.
Yeah, more militant about it, which is weird. And
it's been helpful
I think
for
if people know me and they knew me growing up and they knew me even 5 years ago and they saw me today and said that I am following a plant-based diet in which I don't eat sugar or flour, I don't drink, and I don't consume any caffeine, it'd be like, wow, that seems really unlikely. But the reason that I did that...
We'll put up a couple of pictures of John in high school for your benefit.
The reason that I did that is because I love so much being thin and being healthy and feeling in control of what I eat and my body that I really wouldn't give that up for anything else. And I'm, at this point, totally convinced that this is, for me, the only way to... that I can maintain that. I've tried lots of different diets in the past, and this is the diet that works for me. So, it's like, I wish that bright line eating had more of a male component to it. I wish
Yeah.
that there was an outlet for that. It's been so effective for me that I feel like I can't really, I wouldn't go back to eating a different way, for any reason, more or less. So, yeah.
That's great, Dave. I'm so proud of you. When you go out for a social occasion with your guy friends, is it awkward when you order food?
Not really. I think most people know the diet that I'm on. I usually tell people that I'm a vegetarian or a vegan. That's the easiest way for people to understand, I think, the diet. Because if you say anything more like plant-based or I don't eat this or I don't eat that, I think I think with guys, that almost becomes more like preachy. It's like, oh man, like now you're gonna go on and on and on about your diet. Versus saying that I'm like a vegetarian or vegan. Like most people that are in my life like know what that means. And there are other people that have their own dietary restrictions that are on their own, whatever, like kosher or paleo or whatever. So it's definitely, I think in some social circles for guys it would be more problematic, but for me that's not a huge problem. But I don't say, hey, I'm like bread eating and like I'm plant, but I don't like go into that. I just say I'm vegetarian, I'm vegan.
Yeah. Let's be clear, there's two components to your diet. There's the whole food plant-based side, which is, not eating most animal products. And then there's the bright line eating side, which is not eating sugar and flour. And those two are two separate philosophies.
Yeah, you can do either alone,
right.
But I do both together.
Yeah.
But usually if you say I'm vegetarian, if the group of guys, it like gives you a pass to just do whatever. Like, yeah, I'll have the salad. Even though that's also compliant with my bright line eating diet. That's,
Do you find like people assume that you're a vegetarian for like sort of animal rights-y, PETA type reasons, or do you think?
I don't know. No one's ever really addressed that with me.
Yeah.
And I think maybe if you meet like a fellow vegetarian, then that's an interesting conversation to have. Like you're also a vegetarian, but most of my friends are not. I can't recall
particularly if you meet a vegetarian who's in it for the ethical reasons, who isn't in it for the health reasons, and there's oftentimes a lot of really overweight vegetarians.
There are, yeah. I don't recall any. I actually don't think any of my male friends are vegetarians. Mm-hmm. I can't think of any of them honestly. But there are female, like I know women who are vegetarians or vegans even, but not men who are vegetarians. So it doesn't normally come up, and if it's to the point where I think I'm having a conversation with somebody about the fact that I'm vegetarian, they probably know enough about me to then know my food kind of like weight loss journey. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes it doesn't even come up. Like you just go to a restaurant and then I'll just order the thing that's vegetarian and bright line eating compliant, and nobody bats an eye like 9 times out of 10. So yeah, you got to be kind of a weird person to go to a restaurant with somebody else and then you order food and then the other person's like, why did you eat that? That's like pretty. Yeah. That's pretty weird. So.
Not the type of people that you typically hang out
with. Yeah.
So talk to me about, you've recently started incorporating exercise into, like, first you focused on diet and lost the great majority of your weight. Now you've recently started incorporating exercise. Has it been hard to adhere to your diet as you've increased your demands on your body?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think something that's been important for me has just been eating larger quantities of food at meal times. Mm-hmm. So, if you do the bright line eating program, there are different almost like categories that you can be in. You can be in the weight loss category, the weight maintenance category, or the weight gain category. And I think at this point I'm in the weight maintenance or weight gain category because I don't want to really lose any more weight. And that category, according to the program, prescribes different quantities of food that you can eat. So for a long time, you and I, we were both in the weight loss category, which prescribed a calorie deficit for sure.
Right.
Now at this point, I don't want to lose any more weight, so I'm actually having to consciously think about eating more. Right. So for a long time, I've been eating less. And when I started really exercising a lot, like 6 days a week, I found that it was hard to actually get enough food. Like I had to be more thoughtful about it, which is totally fine. But yeah, I mean, I think that's another thing that's very different from a lot of other diets is that a lot of other diets, I mean, you can just like change the diet by a little bit and like all of a sudden you'll gain weight. I mean, because you're at such a calorie deficit to, you're so close to your calorie limit. With this diet, it's not like I had to actually make effort towards it. And I've been eating that way for so long. I mean, it's been such a long time since I had meat. It's been a really long time since I had caffeine. It's now been quite a long time since I had alcohol. So, it's the longer you do something, the harder it is to change from it. And it's a habit. And so now I have a good habit with eating what I think are good food, healthy foods, and foods that help me maintain weight. So if I want to not keep losing weight or gain weight, I have to eat. I have to do something conscious about it.
Yeah. So with both us, eliminating alcohol was basically, I think, the last thing that we eliminated.
So, yeah.
We both lost the majority of our weight, still occasionally drinking alcohol. We were never big drinkers. We were just occasional social
Yeah, we can
drinkers.
do a whole video on that too. But I have a lot of thoughts on that.
What's the short thought on going out with people who are drinking and not drinking? Is that weird?
It's not really weird. I think that again, I have so many people in my life that don't drink for various reasons. That it's totally fine to just order a seltzer water or something, and no one will really bat an eye. I mean, I think people will bat an eye a little bit more than say you ordering the vegetarian meal or something,
right?
Because drinking is much more of a social thing than just eating at a restaurant. But nobody cares. I mean, I was just at an event 3 nights ago where it was a happy hour, and I just ordered the seltzer water, and someone else also ordered the seltzer water, and it was we kind of met eyes, hey, what's up? But nobody cares. I mean, it's not I think if you make a big deal about it, then people will care. If you're I'm having the non-alcoholic beverage, then people are gonna be oh, what are you doing? But if you just order it like a normal thing, you can also do stuff I'll have a seltzer water for now, or you can defer it, oh, I'm thinking about it, I'll just that's a good technique. It's if people really want to drink, it'd be oh, I'm just gonna get this now, and then let me think about the menu, and then 30 minutes later, it's whatever, never happens. So that's if anything with social pressure, that's kind of what I do. I have almost never go out to a specific event where the goal of the event is to consume alcohol. I never did that even when I drank, so it's not really any temptation to do that. Yeah.
What's your advice for any guys who are struggling with their weight, who are considering adopting, either a plant-based diet or bright line eating, or considering following a program similar to the one that you've adopted?
Yeah, I would say be thoughtful about it too, and I think that I'd like to talk a little bit more about how it is to be a guy on a diet, particularly a non-meat-based diet. But hopefully I can be an example and say that you can be on a plant-based diet and also be a masculine guy. I think that the stereotype of someone being a vegan man is when I think of that in my mind, I think maybe stereotypically a short, thin, kind of just not the ideal peak human health type vision in my mind. And that's a problem, I think, for the vegetarian, vegan, bright line eating, whatever you want to call it, community. So it takes courage to go on a diet and say that you're overweight for anybody. I think for guys as well. And I think it takes courage too to say, look, this is the type of diet that I want to, this is the diet that I think is going to be effective. So, if it works for you, like it's worked for me, then it's more important to be healthy and thin than it is to feel like you're socially okay. And maybe that's something that at 30 plus, as I am now, I've definitely come to understand. I think maybe as a 20-year-old that'd be more difficult to understand, but it's part of what you eat is part of your identity, and this has become part of my identity, but it's only one facet of it. It doesn't define my whole life. Just because I'm a vegetarian doesn't mean that I'm out at PETA rallies or something like that, or I'm kind of whatever else, subscribing to whatever other stereotype you want about people who are vegetarian. So it's a component of your personality, but it's one component of your personality. I also lift weights and run, and just today I was literally covered in concrete the whole day. So
you build things, you destroy things.
Yeah. So
play video games, and you're a geek, and you love Star Wars and space.
The more that there are people
boy stuff.
The more that there are people that do, I'd say stereotypically male professions that subscribe to this eating philosophy, the more accepted it will be and the easier it'll be for other guys to do it. But Luckily, I live in a group of friends and family that are so supportive and have like every type of food thing that could possibly be, that the fact that I subscribe to this diet is no big deal. But there are people out there who are guys that's not the case. It's definitely going to be hard. And I would say it's much more important to be healthy and thin than is to be socially accepted. If for some reason you think that your friends won't socially accept you,
I think that's like a false
meat.
obstacle. I think you're gonna find that everyone accepts you. Like they're gonna be so thrilled for you to see you losing weight.
For sure, but so that's been my experience. But again, if you're a guy and you want to go on this journey, just reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you. But there are other people that are men in the Bright Line Eating community too that have talked about this. But I'd love to chat. So
you can check out Jim from No Longer Chunky.
It's great. If you're a guy and you are on a diet or you're considering doing Bright Line Eating, vegetarian, vegan, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Or if you have a spouse or a significant other or partner who is a guy who's considering doing it, I'd love to hear about that too. But so I'm really happy with my choices, and I'm
really happy with your choices. You look great. You've really led. You've led the weight loss brigade for both of us. You did everything first.
Thank you. Until next time, guys.
Do well and always make things better.
See ya.
Oh.